Hey guys, it's Hannah and welcome back to the Dyslexic Reader. Today I'm going to be doing a mid-June wrap-up. I found last month that I didn't really get a lot of time. I felt like I was rushing through the books in my wrap-up and it was still a long video. So I've decided from now on to do mid-month wrap-ups. It's around the 15th, so the middle of the month, and tell you what I've read so far this month. So I'm doing it in two parts. I did do a two-part wrap-up in April, but I done them on at the end, both at the end of the month, just two separate videos. But I thought I would do one halfway point, sort of let you guys know what I've been reading so far this month and how my reading is going, since I don't do like weekly current reads or anything like that. From the start of June, I have decided to do written reviews of all the books that I read. So I had this nice Walt Disney World journal I got when I was there last year, and I've been racking my brain for what to use it for. So I've decided to do a written review from now on of every book that I've read. So when it comes to the end of the month or midway through the month or 7 months later, I can look back and remember what I thought about the book at the time of reading it. So I'm going to be referencing this book as I go along in all my sort of wrap-ups and reviews from now on. This month all my books have been library books that I've read so far. Isn't this Zoom Zoom drinking cup so cute? So I don't have the books. I took all the books back and got a whole dose of new books, and I'm going to do a library haul and show you guys at the start of next week, so you'll know kind of what I'm planning on reading in the second half of June. So I don't have the books on my person, but I have learnt, I think, how to insert things, which is a very big step for me, so I'm going to try and put a picture of the cover in here while I talk about it. The first book that I read this month, I can't forget. It was The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. I butcher that name, I'm sorry, but I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, and I hear it said so many different ways. I give this book 5 stars. It was the 4th book in the Raven Cycle series, which I give 5 stars to every single book. I loved it. It was so good. For me, this rivals Harry Potter. Like, it's not quite... I'm still undecided. I think I need to maybe reread it down the line and see. But this was an amazing series. It was so good. I had to try and pace myself. I didn't read the 4 books. I tried to leave 2 or 3 weeks at least in between to sort of stretch the series out and let the previous book sink in. And I've started listening to the audiobooks because my library has the audiobooks as well. And the audiobooks are fabulous. So if you want to go down that route, do. I liked how the series ended. It was a wee bit predictable what would happen to what characters, but it didn't exactly plan out how I thought, which was nice. It did have me crying, and that's hard for me for a book or a movie or anything. I am an emotional person, but when it comes to fiction, I find it hard to invest emotionally in some things. But it had me crying. It was really good, and I thought some of the minor characters that came more into play in the story in the 4th book, I loved how everything tied together so beautifully, and I love the way that everything had a symbolism and a purpose. So things that happened in the 1st book that you thought might not have a bearing, were really big in the 4th book, if you know what I mean. It was beautifully tied together, and that's one of the sort of parallels I would draw between it and Harry Potter. It was very well done. So I would say if you like Harry Potter, you'll probably like The Raven Cycle. My second book was The Lost Hero, which is the first in the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. It was basically book 6 of Percy Jackson. For me, it was Camp Half-Blood. There was new characters, but the old characters were there. It was the same sort of format, the writing style, which is great because I love Percy Jackson, and I'm not sure why it took me so long to pick this up, but I really loved it. and there's a bit of a twist. It's not purely Greek gods, there's a bit of a Roman twist, and I didn't know much about Roman gods, so that was interesting to learn about, and I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. The third book was The Truth is a Cave in the Black Mountains by Neil Gaiman. I have a love-hate thing with Neil Gaiman. I either adore his books or don't seem to get his writing style. This was an incredibly short book. I actually thought it was a children's book. It is not a children's book. Please do not give this to a child. It was extremely scary. The artwork in it was beautiful. Really, really creepy. But the story was good, and there was a twist at the end that I didn't see coming. It was an incredibly short book. I sat down and read it in one sitting in like an hour and a half, and I just really enjoyed it. That was 4 stars. My next book was a 4 stars as well. It was a non-fiction. It's called Why God Won't Go Away by Alistair E. McGrath. It was sort of a look at atheism and the whole new atheism movement. I'm trying to read 1 non-fiction a month. I already have the goal for this year to read 1 classic a month, but I'm tacking on from now on 1 non-fiction a month because I really want to be more rounded in my reading. Last year, pretty 90% of my stuff was middle grade, and the ones that weren't were classic adult. So I'm trying to diversify my reading. So that was my non-fiction for this month. It was 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I thought the discussion was well balanced, well constructed, and intellectual. I've read a similar book on the same sort of topic that I actually DNF'd because I thought they had sort of dumbed down the argument to try and make it accessible, and I understand that, but they ended up just coming across stupid in their arguments because they weren't like wording it properly, if you know what I mean. But I enjoyed this book and I thought it was worded well. Then my next one was a 3 star. It was Podkin One Ear by Kieran Larwood. I think this is a series. This was the first book. I'm not sure if the second one is out yet because it was only last year that this was released. It was about bunnies, and there seems to be no humans in this world and just bunnies, and this particular bunny, who is sort of well known in the bunny community, is sort of like a fable. But this is a story of him as a kid and how he ended up losing his ear. And it was a nice modern fairy tale. It was fun. I really enjoyed the characters in this book, and I love kids' book, but I found this honestly a bit boring for an adult. But to read to a kid, definitely. I thought it was just a nice twist on a modern fairy tale, and if I was to see the second one in the library, I'd probably pick it up to see how the story progresses. My penultimate book for this video was I read 1984 by George Orwell. This was a 4 star for me. This is one I've been meaning to read for ages. I was never a big fan of Orwell's style of writing. Put my hands up and admit that. A few part of this books I skim read. I thought parts of it were boring and slow, and that's just Orwell's writing, and I was never really a fan of that, so that's what I knocked the 1 star off for. But it was a good message. It was thought-provoking. I think it had a good pace for the majority of it. I finished it really quickly. Like, I could not put it down. Like, I needed to find out what happened. It was really compelling, and the ending isn't happy, and I really appreciate that in the book. Like, don't lie, tell it how it is, and I really enjoyed it. And I think for me it was one of those ones that I felt I had to read, and I think I was well justified in saying that. And I think probably maybe in a couple of years it would be one I would consider rereading now that I know sort of the plot, so I could go through and let the message and the symbolism sink in a little bit more. And the last book that I've read up until now was Book of 1,000 Days by Sharon Hale. I give this 3 stars. Again, I thought this was slow and boring at parts, but I really liked the story. The sort of invented culture within this book was really interesting. It's about a girl who goes to be a lady's maid, and when she arrives, the lady has just been sentenced by her father to serve 7 years in a tower, like locked in a tower. And the lady's maid is forced to go with her, not knowing her or anything. And it's about them serving their 1,000 days in the tower. And the culture in this was really good. I thought it was well thought out, and I thought it was colourful as well, but at the same time I didn't think it was like insulting or like taking the mick or trying to exaggerate things, which very could have easily become offensive, but I feel like it didn't. It was just a really colourful culture that was really like well thought out. Like, it was a good storyline, and I thought the message was sort of understanding other people. There was a wee bit about mental health in it, and I thought that the message was really good, but the ending was predictable, and the story I felt was a bit boring in times, but I listened to this on audiobook and I thoroughly enjoyed it. That is the, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books I've read so far this month. If I get another 7 in, I'll be extremely happy. And as I said, my library haul will be up at the start of next week, showing you guys the sort of things I'm hoping to read in the second half of June. I hope you're all happy. I hope you're all healthy. And hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye.